Hi, my angels, and welcome back to another video. Now, today we are talking about something that I feel almost everybody struggles with when manifesting love, which is silence. The no contact, the being left on red, being blocked, weeks of nothing, maybe months of nothing. And the reason that this silence hits so deeply isn't because this is just a lost cause or because everything is ruined. It is actually just exposing every story you are still creating from. Now, you may not realize that what you are reacting to is not the silence itself. It's what you're telling yourself that the silence means. So, when someone that you are emotionally attached to goes quiet, your brain does not register that as neutral at all. Now, neuroscience shows that uncertainty activates the amygdala, which is the fear center of the brain. It can light up similar regions that also activate during social rejection. So, biologically, your body can interpret silence as physical pain. Now, this is not happening because you're actually being rejected, but because attachment bonds equal safety in your nervous system. So, connection is always going to accommodate your nervous system and it's going to be equivalent to safety, where disconnection is going to be equivalent to a potential threat. So, your body is going to react first. And then you're going to usually notice your ego comes online. And the ego really has two favorite tools that it loves to use, which is control and evidence. Now, control says, I need you to do something. I need you to fix something, text them, affirm harder, go check their story, analyze that last conversation. Did you mess this up? Make sure you didn't mess this up. And evidence comes in, and they're like a perfect pair. And it's going to now be alerting your brain of show me proof, show me movement, show me a sign. If I don't see it, then that means it's not happening. So, when silence happens, your ego panics because it cannot control the external situation and it has no fresh evidence or a solid baseline to return back home to and be able to soothe itself. So, when the ego loses control, it now is going to assign a meaning. And usually, this is a negative meaning that comes up almost immediately. It's always going to sound like, I'm being rejected. There must be a third party. I know I messed this up. It's just been too long. Manifesting just isn't working. I need to go fix myself. And this is where you have to pause and understand that just like any circumstance, silence is neutral. So it's always going to be your interpretation that is hurting you because silence does not mean rejection. It means that there is currently no stimulation for your brain to grasp onto. Now, in today's world, we have been conditioned by this instant gratification because we have instant texting, calls, FaceTimes, read receipts, these online statuses. We have constant access. So our brain now equates constant access with love and a healthy commitment that you have. But access is not devotion. Stimulation is not commitment, and silence is not this abandonment piece. So, silence doesn't just expose your ego, it truly is going to expose where you are still giving in to this split identity. So, a lot of times you might find yourself consciously saying, I really want commitment. I really want consistency. I want a secure relationship. I know that I'm just so ready for this, but unconsciously, you're still 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And it's going to be those subtle, sneaky thoughts that you really want to try and catch because these often sound like, well, if he wanted to, he would. I'm not going to chase. I don't want to look stupid. I feel like men always pull away eventually. I feel like long distance is really hard and distance just ruins things. Maybe you feel like nice girls just get played, or I don't want to lose myself in this relationship. What if I'm picking the wrong person? I just really don't want to get hurt again. So your brain is in these different identities because you're affirming, I'm chosen, but you're still bracing for this abandonment. You're telling yourself, I'm so secure, but then you're checking for evidence. You're saying, I really trust this, but still thinking, I'll believe it when I see it. So that is the prime example of how easy it is to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And the 3D is always going to mirror that perfectly because the law of assumption is always going to respond to your identity, not how much effort you're putting forth. So when your identity is split, you often experience split dynamics. So maybe you have hot and cold experiences or just the strong connection, but really inconsistent behavior. Maybe you keep pulling in emotionally unavailable partners or long silent phases. Because I hear clients all the time saying, I must be cursed or the universe is punishing me. And I was really guilty of this too. But I realized that silence removed stimulation and it showed me my baseline story that I was still carrying. So when there are no text, there's no dopamine hits, there's no reassurance, what do you default to? Because that default is always going to be your operating system. And this is why techniques sometimes feel as if they just don't work. It's not that the law stopped working, it's truly that your full identity is not landed. Because silence is actually something very powerful, because in my perspective, it forces you to see that without distraction. So instead of panicking when it gets quiet, I want you to ask yourself, what story am I assigning to this silence? And I want you to write it down or say it out loud. I don't want you to spiritually bypass it. I don't want you to try and fix this. I want you to just be honest with yourself, because maybe your story is something along the lines of, I'm being rejected. Maybe they found someone else. I just know that I did something really wrong. It's been just way too long for this to ever mend itself, or this always happens to me, or maybe even, I just knew it. So now once you have this out, we are going to flip it, but in a very regulated way, because you're not gaslighting yourself. You really want to be able to tell a believable story to your brain and your body that it can accept in this moment, because your number one priority should be your comfort. So if your story is, I'm being rejected, I want you to shift to, I don't actually have proof of rejection. I'm reacting to uncertainty, not reality. I am still the chosen one, even when it's quiet. Now, if your story is something along the lines of maybe they just found someone else, I want you to shift to, I refuse to create a third party with my imagination. I know that my assumption is going to shape my experience. So I am always going to choose the version of this story where I am the one. Okay? Because you really want this shift to be something believable to you. Now, if the story is something along the lines of, I just know I messed this up, I want you to shift this to, my brain just wants control. I do not need to keep dissecting and perfecting myself in order to deserve love, because my identity creates outcomes, not one moment. Now, if your story is something where it's just been too long, I want you to shift to, where is my attention right now? Because time feels long when I'm constantly monitoring it. Movement can look like nothing before it does look like something. I'm remembered even in silence. Now, maybe your story is, manifesting just doesn't work for me. I want you to shift to, my reaction does not mean that the law stopped working, because even if I have this fear, I can still get exactly what I want. I know the secure version of me does not continue to look outside of herself. Okay, so I don't want you to jump from panic to what your brain might interpret as fantasy. I want you to be able to jump from panic to stability, because your stability is always, always, always going to be your superpower. Now, the reason I made this video is because of a recent client success that I had. So I'm so excited, because I had a client who did not speak to her specific person for 5 years. Okay, 5 years. No contact, no likes, no messages. For years, she kept telling herself, I just know he forgot about me. I just know he found someone else. But underneath that story as well, her identity was still very latched onto, I am the one who gets left. So once we worked together and she was able to observe her mental and outer talk, she was catching herself still resonating with these unconscious beliefs. So once we worked together and did the inner work, we really were able to shift that identity, and not because of the techniques, because she's been doing those for years. It was truly the identity that she embodied that was able to change everything for her. So she stopped stalking, she stopped narrating the silence, she stopped looking and checking for proof. She fully embodied, I am remembered, I am chosen, I am not forgotten. So now, within 3 months of us working together, after 5 years of silence, he reached out to her and he said, I don't know why, but I have been thinking about you constantly for the last 3 months, and I just did not know what to say. I did not know how to get this out. So now that we have been working together too, they're talking and they're setting up this date together because he's coming to her city. So I know when I wanted to share this as well, I know that for some of you, 3 months is going to be a trigger, but everyone's story is personal and unique because she had her own inner work and daily things to keep her busy. And she was honestly manifesting all of these other really amazing things along the way too. And like I always say, the SP was just a cherry on top because all of the other shifts she made within herself was because she truly became the version of herself who can hold this version of her SP to fully show up. So it really does come down to perspective in these success stories because 3 months really isn't a long time when you look at it from, other points of views. It's really easy to say, well, we've only been together for 3 months, or I only had this job 3 months. So if you decided to lock in right now, it can genuinely happen at any point in your reality. But the point was, it can't show up fully until you are that version of yourself that can fully receive that. So I think this is just another huge reminder that this silence didn't actually mean absence in any way, because it just really showed that her identity wasn't fully stabilized yet. Because in those 3 months, he was still actively thinking about her and getting signs of her. She just didn't have that evidence yet in her reality, but it was still happening for her behind the scenes. So I really want this video to just be your reset when silence is triggering you, because I want you to be able to regulate yourself first and then go into any of the techniques or things. I want you to learn how to really sit with yourself and hold yourself and just understand, uncertainty is not danger. And ask yourself, who is threatened right now? Is it love? Is it me? Or is it truly just my ego's need for control? Then you can switch your operating system. And instead of control and evidence, I want you to choose identity and assumption, because your identity can now say, I am chosen, and your assumption can say, it is already unfolding. Because your certainty does not check, it allows you to relax, it allows you to rest, it allows you to fully receive, because you don't break the no contact by taking action and forcing a text or forcing a sign. You're breaking no contact by really breaking that story of separation. And you can have these natural inner conversations. You can hear them say, I really miss you. I have been thinking about you. I do want to see you. And then you can drop it. You don't have to grip it. You don't have to monitor it. You just can live. You can go to the gym. You can hang out with your baddies. You can build your life, expand your world. Because once you stop fully reacting to silence, you stop feeding that old identity. And when the old identity collapses, your reality can fully reorganize. Now, it is my favorite time of the video, which is where we seal this in your body. So I want you guys to tap with me. So, karate chop point. Even though the silence really makes my body feel unsafe, I honor how human this reaction is. And I choose to calm my nervous system now. Take a deep breath. Okay, eyebrow point. This silence feels really, really uncomfortable. My brain is interpreting all of this silence as a threat. My chest just feels really tight. I have this knot in my stomach. I really just want reassurance. I really just want proof. My ego really just wants control. But I am safe right now. In this moment, I am safe. Because uncertainty is not danger. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, back to karate chop. Because even though I've assigned meaning to this silence, I am open to finally seeing this as just another neutral circumstance. I am choosing to neutralize silence. Because silence does not equal rejection. Absence in the 3D is not abandonment. I do not actually know what is happening. But I refuse to fill in blanks with fear. Because I know my assumption matters more than my suspicion. Nothing real is being threatened in this moment. This is my ego detoxing control. I'm going to allow silence to work in my favor. Now take a deep breath. Now we're going to shift in your identity. Okay, so karate chop. Even though part of me still really wants this evidence, I choose to embody the version of me who is already fulfilled. Because I am the evidence. I am remembered. I am pursued with ease. I easily receive consistent communication. I easily receive consistent devotion. I do not have to monitor what is already mine. Love flows towards me so naturally because I am the source of love. I am safe in consistency. I rest in being chosen because I know that every circumstance is working in my favor, and I accept this truth in mind, body, and soul. Okay, now hands on your chest, and I want you to repeat after me. I am chosen even when it's quiet. My worth is not measured by a notification. I embody certainty. Love moves towards me, whether I see it or not. I am so secure in myself. Okay? Now, I want you to really feel the difference between affirming from panic and affirming from regulation, because we named the fear, we neutralized it, and then we shifted into identity so that it can actually solidify in mind, body, and soul. Because I really want you to understand that silence is not rejection, it truly is just an ego detox. It is preparation for you. It is the space where you decide you are, without having any of this proof, you are in control. You are the operant power. And when you stop assigning fear to the quiet is going to stop feeling dangerous. So I want you to lock back in to your internal world, and I want you to rest in being chosen and rest in the knowing that it is truly done, especially in the silence. So I just know that this video helped you. I know it unlocked a little aha moment for you. So until next time, my loves.